Hello everyone, in this video today I will be sharing with you a tutorial to make this crochet top. You can find the free pattern at craftytoots.com and you're going to need it because it comes in different sizes. I'm going to be using the cotton bamboo yarn by Lion Brand, which is a number 3 or sport or DKY, an E or 3.5 millimeters crochet hook, but please check your gauge to make sure that you're making it to size. So let's start by creating a simple slip knot, and you can do this just the best way, your favorite way is just to get started. And of course always I start with chains, and this is going to be different from each size, so please refer to the web page to know how many chain stitches you're going to need. And then on the 4th chain from hook we're going to do a double crochet. And after that we're going to do a double crochet in each and single stitch all the way to the end of this row. This pattern comes with sizes from extra small to 5XL. So just keep doing a single crochet all the way till the end. And again, you need to refer to the written pattern so you will know your stitch count and how many stitches you need for the size you want to create. Here I got to the end, and for the next row, we just need to do a chain 3 and turn, or you can also turn first and do your chain 3 afterwards, it doesn't matter, and then double crochet all the way till the end. And we are going to repeat this row of chain 3 and double crochet until the end, all the way to row number 27. And this is for all the sizes, but if you want to make it longer you can just add a couple of rows. So you can see it's just double crochet, so it's very easy to adapt and make it shorter, make it longer, just as you want it. But you need to remember, if you do this, take notes of how many rows you end up creating. That way you can repeat it for your other side, because this pattern has a front and back side, and of course you will need them to match. So here I'm finishing row number 27, and after this we're gonna create the armhole shaping. So when you are done with row number 27, we're gonna cut our yarn and fasten off. I will be turning my work just to keep the same texture, and you will need to skip the first 8 stitches. This will create a space, and this space will be the armhole, and this is the same for all sizes. But again, if you want to make the armhole smaller, you just have to skip less stitches, and if you want to make it a little bit bigger, just skip a few more stitches. So I will be joining my yarn right here and do a chain 3, and then I need to do double crochets, and the amount of double crochets again will depend on the size you're making, but pretty much what you have to do is work double crochets all the way to the last 8 stitches. Just like we skipped 8 stitches at the beginning, we're gonna leave the last 8 stitches unworked, and this way mirror the armhole shaping. So you can refer to the written pattern to know the exact number, or if you prefer not to count stitches, just keep working all the way and then just count the last 8 stitches right here, and you're gonna not work those. So just work until then and skip the last 8 stitches. Here I have the last 8 stitches unworked. That means I have to stop right there. And now we just keep repeating the chain 3 and double crochet rows until you have the amount of rows that your size calls for. This is going to be different because each size needs a little bit more length. For the armhole, going again from extra small to 5XL. So you will need to refer to the written pattern to know the amount of rows that you need to work. But as you can see, it's very easy. It's just double crochets, chain, and skipping stitches. So it's a very beginner friendly pattern. Here I am finishing the last row that I need to make to finish the armhole. And after this, we're going to start shaping the neck and shoulders. And it's going to be the same way. We're just going to skip stitches, but before that, let me cut my yarn and fasten off, just like we did before. Again, I'm going to turn to keep consistency with the texture that it creates row after row. So here you can see that the armhole was created, and now I will be skipping 8 stitches, but this is different. So the extra small needs to skip 4, the small needs to skip 8, and so on. So again, refer to the written pattern at craftytuts.com. And again, the amount of double crochet is gonna depend on your size, but just like we did before, we have to skip the same amount of stitches at the end and at the beginning. So let me do a chain 3 and then do double crochet until I get the amount of stitches that I need. And then the last few stitches is gonna remain unworked the same way that we did before. So in my case, it's gonna be 8 stitches, but it can be for your size, it can be more or it can be less. And the skipped stitches are gonna form our shoulders, and the rows that we keep working is gonna form our neck. So we have to keep working a few more. So now just chain 3 and continue working all the rows that you need to create the turtleneck. And now that we already skipped our stitches, and we don't need to count, we just have to work double crochet in every single stitch until we finish all the rows that we need. Here you can see I have my neck almost finished, and it looks a little bit long, but remember that this will have to be folded. The last stitch. So now just fasten off, cut your yarn and fasten off. And of course you will be needing to block your piece and create an exact same piece as this for front and back. You can see it's a little curled, but everything you have to stretch it out and just wet block it. And here you can see it's gonna be folded, so it's not really that big. Again, so work the same thing and do your back piece, block it, stretch all your stitches, and then I will show you how you have to sew it. So let's imagine that I already made my other piece, and you have to match your stitches and rows as best as you can, and you're gonna sew all the way here because that's our shoulder and neck. This will be our armhole, so of course this part we're not gonna sew. It's gonna be open, and again match your stitches and all the way until the end. This will be the side of our top, so we're gonna sew there again. Here I have my two pieces all blocked and ready to sew. You can use a crochet hook if that is comfortable for you, but I prefer to use needle and thread. And again, here you have to sew here. So just going to match my stitches the best that I can, and I will be using the whip stitch technique. I just think is the easiest one, is also one of the fastest one to finish. Since this tutorial is aimed for beginners, I decided to keep it simple. But if you are experienced at sewing and you want to use the mattress stitch or any other technique, really, just go ahead and do it. Here I am tying a knot just to secure it, and then you just go stitch by stitch, joining together both sides to create your seam. As you can see, it's not difficult at all, but if you are not comfortable using needle and thread, or in this case is needle and yarn, actually just use the same yarn with the crochet hook, and you could join both pieces by doing a single crochet row, or maybe even a slip stitch row. Here you still need to keep sewing here because this is the shoulder. So basically it's just the same thing and just in another direction. Of course, we're going to skip the armhole. Now I already attached my yarn, and I'm going to sew the sides edges. Once you finish with this, is just repeating the sewing in the opposite part, and you're all done. I really hope you liked this tutorial. If you did, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to check the blog crocheters.com so you can find the written pattern.